Hello everyone, welcome to the Kevin Lee Social. Thank you for tuning in. What initially began as an 8-part series interviewing entrepreneurs to share and inspire how they've successfully pivoted during COVID-19, I have decided not only to continue this series, but also to expand on the scope to understand and learn about people's craft, philosophy, the challenges they face in the industry, and their favorite failures that have helped shape them to become who they are today. By going deeper and understanding different thought leaders, businesses, and industries, the idea is to help cross-pollinate ideas applicable in your life and inspire action in this new norm we live in. I hope you enjoy the show. Thank you. Today, we have Todd Liubinskas. Todd has been an athlete for 20 years, fitness professional for 15, and business owner for 5. He's a former first-grade rugby union player. For the past 15 years, he has been working with clients to improve their health. Todd is the fitness director for Men's Health Australia. He is also the director of CSP Gym, CSP Athlete Factory, the 440 Club, and the Let's Get Going Charity Foundation, a non-profit mental and experience program. Please everyone help me welcome Todd. Hey Todd, thanks for coming on today, mate. Thanks for making the time for me.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Hey, I thought we'd start off with the 440 Run Club. Please can you share with the audience what's that about?
Yeah, it's a good starting point too. So the 440, I was introduced to the 440 through my now business partner, who is a friend of mine, Trent Knox. He started the 440 about 5 or 6 years ago. He was training for a half marathon, the Canberra half marathon, which he placed 8th in the marathon. And what they used to do is they used to meet at the bottom of Calgary Place in Bronte, which is where the cafes are, and sprint to the top of this hill. And they used to do 10 efforts, and they used to try and get up there and then get back within a 5-minute block. It is now the 440 track was just a hill. So they used to say, oh, we're going to go through, and they measured it out, and they said, it's 440 meters. So they started calling it the 440. And this was a sprint session, and they all did really well. But at the end of the race, they said, oh, who's going to continue training it? And Trent said, well, I'm going to just still run it because I love doing it. So he ended up turning up every Saturday on his own for about 3 or 4 months, just asking people to join him. So every Saturday, 5 a.m., turning up, rain, hail or shine, to the bottom of Bronte, and then you end up going up the hill, and you can run, walk, shuffle, sprint, whatever you want to do. Totally up to you. What you get out of it is what you put in. That then turned into Trent DMing people and making an Instagram profile and turning it into this run that happens every Saturday. So that's now getting to so as it stands from last week, there's about 130, 140 people turning up every Saturday morning.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
At its peak in summer, we get about 240 to 250 people.
Wow.
And the beauty about it is, and I mentioned it before, it's not, you don't turn up for me, I don't turn up for Kevin, I don't turn up for Trent, I turn up for myself. It's what you get out of it is totally up to you. Some people get there and they just turn up and want to hang out and just meet people. Other people get there and they want to break the time, or other people get there and want to run one lap, or all different things. There's all different goals that people have, but I think there's a lot of barriers into fitness these days. Like people walk in and they might be a little bit confronted in a gym. They might not have the confidence to walk up to someone and ask them for a program. So starting in the dark is part of it too, because no one can really see what you look like. You can get there and do your laps and then leave. But that then turns into, all right, I love this. Next week I'm going to talk to someone. The week after I'm going to jump in the water and have a swim, have a coffee. We've now turned these into, so there's the main one is at Bronte, but we've got about 18 run clubs around the country now. 2 are in the US, which makes it 20, but they've since been put on pause due to COVID. But mate, that's the 440, and it's just a beautiful energy source of people, community, culture, and it's always going to be there long after Noxie and I go. So it'll be great.
Awesome. It sounds like a great club to be part of. Yet to come along. It sounds like I definitely have to give it a go.
Yeah, you got to come down, Kev. You made a promise to us. You made a promise to us when we had some caviar at the Mayflower there.
I just want to go into it just a little bit further. If you could paint a picture of what it's like on a 440 on the Saturday when you guys, so what time do you guys meet up? And you start off at the base of, is it always the same place in Bronte?
Yep.
Do you guys run up the hill and is it around in circles, or how does it work?
Yeah, I left that out of the last bit as well. So every Saturday for Noxie and I is an event. So every weekend and every Saturday is an event, and it starts at 5 a.m. So we're usually up at around 3:30 on a Saturday, and we have a bit of a coffee and a shake, and we call each other and talk to each other, and just sort of, it's exciting because we leave home about 4, get down there at 4:30, and we usually do a video cross to our Instagram TV live, and just let people know how they're going, and welcome everyone to the 440 day of the week. And basically, it's a run. So we run up. We usually do 10 laps, which is about 7 kilometers. And it's about a 700-meter loop. Now, the purpose of the loop in every 440 is purely to enable people to interact with each other. It's a loop run because you might get faster people going and encouraging the slower guys, or you might get some people walking. You might get some people that want to race each other as well. But it's a loop purely for interaction, so no one gets left behind. That's the beauty about it. It's so inclusive. We want to make sure that it's open to every single person that can move. If they can't move, they can come down and be a part of it. It kicks off at 5 o'clock at our one. All the other venues around the country and around the world are different times, but our one starts at 5. We usually run to about 5:45. Then we all strip off, jump in the water into Bronte or in the ocean, and that's a big part of it too. And then everyone gets themselves up and gets back to a coffee shop. We usually go to Gusto down in Hall Street, or everyone goes off to their own little coffee shops, and they've all got their own little communities that they bring. And that's a Saturday. So Saturday for us starts at about 3:30 in the morning and finishes at about 8:30, 9 o'clock. We usually finish the morning with a meditation, myself and Trent, and then I usually have a nap at about sort of 9:30, 10 o'clock. I get myself ready for the rest of the week. Yeah, that's what people can expect to a 440. I think the beauty about it too is, especially in the months coming into spring, halfway through that run, the sun's coming up over Bronte. At sometimes you can see the stars. Like, it's such a beautiful spot, and the world's still sleeping while you're out exercising is a beautiful experience.
Well, that sounds so amazing. I love every part of it, from getting up early when it's dark. It's that sense of peace and quiet that, like you said, everyone's still asleep. And you get out there, you're with yourself. But now, not only that, you're with a community, whether you're with friends or developing new friends, and connecting over coffee afterwards, and nothing like a cold dip in the morning as well. It seems like you've built quite the community over the time. How long has it been running for?
So we've been running since, it'll be 2014. It was established through Trent. More importantly, probably the last 3 or 4 years, it started to get some notoriety and get a bit more brand awareness, and people have started to understand it and turn up a little bit more.
Awesome. And do you think people have been getting more out of the community than just the physical exercise? Is it any stories you can share where people have felt like they've made breakthroughs in their routine or regime?
Yeah. Oh, there's a bunch of different stories. Like, we've got so many of these 440 stories. One that really sticks out to us is a guy called Jim, who came down from a gym that I used to run, funnily enough. And he was watching us for about 12 to 18 months, just watching our socials and watching my socials, Trent's, and was like intimidated. He didn't want to come down. Had lost his way a bit in fitness, didn't know where to start, was really apprehensive about he loved getting up early, but he was like, if I go down there, I'm not going to be fit. I won't be able to keep up with everyone. And that was the common misconception with a bunch of fit people in a photo, 6-packs, girls, and then it was like, oh, how do I see myself in that group? So we took that feedback on board, and he started DMing us and messaging us, I think I'm going to come. I think I'm going to come down. I'm not sure if I should. And we're like, hey, we'll come and pick you up. We're up that early. We don't care. Like, we'll drive and get you. Like, a lot of people have told us we're great recruiters, but we just don't want to have a barrier to anyone missing out. Anyway, Jim ended up coming one morning and didn't tell us that he was coming. He was sort of like in the DMs and messages. Turned up one morning, ready to go, got his fitness gear, and he goes, mate, I'm going to walk it because I don't think I can run it. I said, mate, you do what you need to do. Like, it's totally up to you. This is your thing. And he's like, okay. And he was a bit taken back by that approach because no one's racing or no one's really going against each other. It's you against you, really. So he starts walking, and we've got this thing called a bum tap, which is like a slap on the, just a, not a open palm, a backhand. And it's just like a bum tap. Come on, you're doing well. You're doing really well. Within the first lap of Jim walking, I think there would have been about 80 or 90 people down there. I'm pretty sure everyone hit him on the back and said, mate, you're doing well, doing awesome. He then got the encouragement after that first lap to then go and run. So he starts jogging on a certain, so he goes, I'm going to give myself 100 meters and jog. On about lap 3, he starts breaking down in tears because he's finally done something for himself, gotten up, running, and he's getting all this encouragement instead of getting a barrier to go, why aren't you fast enough? Why aren't you? It's not about that. It was, hey, man, you're doing really well. Keep going. Keep breathing. All these things that he then took on board, and he went, what is going on here? How do I? And then he just broke down. He said, this is unbelievable. Jumped in the water, and he now calls himself Mr. 440. So he's one of our best recruiters because he tells everyone about it. He tells, it's the barbecue conversation that night, or it's the place you go to after. What did you do today? Oh, I'm glad you asked. This is what I did. I got myself up at 4 a.m. What would you get yourself up that early for? It was for this, and this is the reason why I did it. And there's those stories that come in thick and fast. We've had girl used to drive all the way from Central Coast. We've had people drive from Pennant Hills to Bronte just to see what it's all about. We had a bloke that wanted to drive from Wollongong. Oh, wow. And a mate of mine, Jace Keys, drove from Wollongong just because he knew my father. And he goes, mate, I've heard all this stuff about the 440. I just want to experience it and see what it's all about. So that was pretty cool too. There's so many of these stories that come out every week, and we're trying to do our best to actually uncover them and just bring them to light because they can help so many people.
Such an inspiring story and lovely story that you shared. And
thanks.
I really enjoyed that the club that you've created together, Trent, is such an inclusive club, and that the concept of running around in circles doesn't leave anyone behind. I think
that's right.
Really break the misconception of a bunch of fit eastern suburbs people getting together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Which is a thing, right? Like that was the barrier that was holding a lot of people back. So, yeah, we had to look at that a little bit more. And yes, there's a lot of fit people down there. There's a lot of fit people in the eastern suburbs, but there's so many different flavors and heights and shapes of people that it is for everyone. And that's what we wanted to bring to light. So we've tried to work pretty hard on that.
Yeah, I think you guys done a great job. Even me looking through your socials and digging in, doing a bit of research, seeing what you guys have put together. You've really nailed down and put together that inclusiveness, which is great. And talking about fit, and I was moving on to the next question. You're also the director of Complete Strength and Performance Gym. Obviously, you're a very fit guy. That's what you do. This is your career. What is the focus or the philosophy there at your gym?
Yeah, so I started that gym with 2 of my good mates and still involved there. I'm just not as active in the 5-doc space at the moment. Complete Strength and Performance, we started in 2014. And the 2 guys I partnered with were, one of them, Shane McLeod, I played football with. The other one, Bronson Harrison, former NRL player, was in the NRL for 13 to 14 years, played for his country at a very high level. And both myself and Shane played rugby at a pretty high level too, first grade for our clubs. We wanted to come together and basically create a space that us as athletes had the ability to learn from some really high level people and take these key learnings and produce and give them back to the community in terms of the way we program, the way we operate, the way we have pride in our performance, the way that we deliver our programs to the community. So we got together and said, hey, let's open up a gym in 2014. That was a learning curve because that was now nearly 6 years ago. And we thought the first year we're like, yeah, all our mates will come and train with us. It'll be one of these things. And at the time I was actually working for Reebok, managing a few things over there with some athletes. And Shane was doing another job off the side and Bronson was just coming out of football. that may have been our biggest downfall because we didn't throw everything into it straight away. We used it as a bit of a hobby, and we soon found out that putting like 70 to 80% effort into something doesn't give you the return. The first couple of years we survived and we got through it. We grew off the back of our first facility in Concord. We're now in Five Dock. We were there in Concord for 4 years, Five Dock for the last 2. We've now opened up another facility out in Hills, out in Parramatta. We had another company developed off the back of it called CSP Athlete Factory. We've now created programs which are inside school and facilities at the moment, and now we're in Bondi through myself. Our biggest approach and our biggest message out to the community was we don't want anyone to miss out on any sort of fitness, and that was through high level strength and conditioning, through gymnastics, through cardio, all our skill sets coming into one, and we wanted to offer that back. Yeah, it's been an interesting ride, and I'm still part of it, and I love the boys, and it's still growing. There's always, every month, every week, there's always something new that we're working on and we're a part of. So, yeah, it's going well.
I'm glad to hear that it's going well, and it's interesting how you guys combine a whole bunch of high level athletes into these programs that you can share of all different levels to the people in the community.
Thanks.
And obviously, at the moment, during the recording of this podcast, we're going through the COVID pandemic still. How has that affected your work via the gym or any of the other work that you're currently doing?
Yeah, the way that's affected is where gyms are very social environments. They rely on the community. I think even everywhere relies on a strong community. I think that personal and physical touch is very important in a gym. Coming through and correcting someone's form, or coming through and giving someone a high five, or giving them a hug after they've done their PR and their deadlift. There's a lot of areas where you rely on that physical connection. Needless to say, the community is so strong that as soon as we had to flip and pivot on getting online programs out, get programs out to each member and offer something back to keep people moving and motivated, that was the biggest thing for us, is to say, okay, hey, can you stick with us? If you've still got your job, can you still afford to come on board and do your things? And we'll definitely make it as best as we can for you. And I think that's still there. There's still an element of, which is understandable with the community, like not wanting to come into a facility like that. But what it's also done, it's kicked everyone up a notch in terms of hygiene. There's strategies in place to make sure that things are cleaned down, wiped, facilities, and that people are looking after themselves and looking after the facility. So yeah, we had to do some online programming and get people to come in and pick up gym equipment if they didn't already have it. And yeah, myself personally, I'm in an online environment. For me, it's been really cool to see how many people have taken the online up and kept moving throughout this whole world-changing event. Yeah, it's here to stay. I think we're not going to be. I think the minute we start to relax is the minute we're going to fall over. So I think everyone's really across it. We're doing such a good job up here in New South Wales. It's a bit tough to see the rest of the country go through what they're going through in the world. But yeah, I think if we're all sort of on top of it, I think we're going to come out of it okay.
Yeah, I think it is a challenging time for a lot of people, and it's great that you guys have pivoted quickly and created programs for people to do from at home, as well as you're saying as well, either lending out or renting out equipment to them so they could take it home as well, as it's a different space. Thank God for the connectivity that we have at the moment. Everyone can still...
Totally, yeah. I think Telstra and all the NBN, everyone's devices are going through the roof, but that's okay.
Absolutely. And obviously you connect with a lot of people online, and you teach and you create programs for them. What have you observed are some top challenges that they're facing in regards to health and during isolation at the moment?
Motivation is probably a big one. Motivation to actually pull yourself out of bed, going now the office. So the house is now your office. It's your gym. It's your place you want to get away from the family. The home is fast becoming multifaceted to everyone. But I think the biggest thing is motivation that I see. And once we get that down pat, that's the thing that drives people to jump online and do their workout. And motivation could come from a whole different range of things. Hey, I want to be better at my job, or I want to be better at home. I'm motivated to do it so I don't strangle my partner, or I don't come to blows with family members and things like that, which is a reality at the moment. So yeah, I think motivation's the biggest thing. Another thing is just keeping people sane through this whole thing, giving them something to plan for. And if we've put some programs in place, like I've got a 12-week program about to launch next week, like 12 weeks before summer, like get yourself fit at home before you come get into your summer body or whatever it may be. That's another bit of motivation as well. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely something for people to look forward to. Is there any other tips or suggestions you could offer for people to gain that bit of motivation, you think?
Yes. All right. Before anything, I think the biggest thing we have to do is look at, and I got 4 points. One, sleep. So try and get a consistent 7 to 8 hours sleep every night. And that comes from a bit of discipline. So trying to get yourself to bed at the right time and up at the right time. It'll only take about 3 to 4 days to get yourself back into a good sleep pattern. Your water intake. If you notice, I took a little sip of water before, but your water intake should be minimum 2 litres a day. I try and go above that because I'm training so much. So I'm at about 4 to 5, sometimes 6 litres, depends on how much work I'm putting in. The other thing is trying to eat foods that you cut sugar and cut the saturated fats. Eat some wholesome foods. Do some research, even jump onto the Mayflower site and see what they've got going on and see what they're cooking up. But also have some fun with your cooking as well. Bring the family in, get them involved, and make some healthy salads or some healthy option for lunch where you're all involved and you've all made it. And the last thing is no phones at mealtime. Because we're now not connected as much physically, we're on our phones a lot. So whenever you come together to have a meal or sit down for a coffee with someone, phone goes down. What that'll do is that'll reduce your technology time, and it'll also just allow you to be present and understand and talk and just be in the moment with that person or those bunch of people that are in there. And if we start doing those things before we actually go in to do our exercise, you'll be surprised how much energy you generate and how much you can start to really kick yourself back into a healthy lifestyle.
Some great tips there, Todd. So a lot of energy conservation and energy building type tips. So getting you ready.
Correct.
Oh, gotcha. I'm just really curious what your workout routine is like. Paint us a rough picture throughout the week. And obviously we've seen your Saturday. You wake up at 3:30. You get together with a friend, and then you go for the run, and then go for a cold gym, finishing off with meditation. You don't have to run us through all the details, but in terms of throughout your week, do you work out 4 or 5 times a week? You do 3 days of strength? You do 2 days of cardio? What's it like?
Yeah, so on the Saturday, I usually go into a 2-hour to 2.5 hour cardio strength endurance session. And that's usually a lot of stuff which is outdoorsy. So I'll either get up to the sand hills, or I'll go surfing or paddleboarding, or try and mix up a few different disciplines on the Sunday because it's a lot easier to get some things done. Monday, as in today, I'll go into a strength-based workout with a bit of a CrossFit element towards the back end of it. Tomorrow I'll do another run. So I'll run in the morning and I'll do 2 live workouts, which are 30 minutes. And today I've done a boot camp in the morning as well. So today's boot camp in the morning, strength in the Arvo with some Olympic lifting. Tomorrow is strength in the morning, then 2 online workouts. Wednesday is a 90-minute run as far as I can get. And then Thursday is a rest day. Massage, dry needling, trying to get some more calories back in the body. Friday will be a light swim, light jog. And then Saturday we're back into it again. Yeah, there's a bit going on.
Wow. So let me get this right. So your rest day is Thursday, a light workout, and then pretty much from Saturday till back to the Thursday again, it's full workout.
Yep. And then there's a bit, because I'm training for a race at the moment, September 5, we're doing a race around Bondi, which is 31 hours of running. So it's a team of 6. We're going to loop Bondi Beach for 31 hours because it's in replacement of a race we were supposed to do from LA to Vegas, which is called the Speed Project. So it's now been decentralized. So it's now all around the world going to start at the same time. And we've got to get as many Ks out as we can in 31 hours.
Wow.
because that was the winning time that it took a team to get from LA to Vegas. That's going to be a really fun event. So we're doing that on September 5. So
Wow.
I'm doing a lot of cardio based around that just to keep myself moving. And then the next event I'll train for will be an adventure race next year. Hopefully things come off. So we will see.
Obviously, there's a massive high output on your body. How do you keep up the performance? Is it obviously there's rest, diet, and do you take supplements as well? What's your diet or supplement if you?
Yeah, I need supplements to keep my carb levels up and my carb, because my carb outtake, and I need that to come in. Just for my energies, I need that a lot. I use a company called Newzest, and they basically have a clean protein that I use in a greens product, and I usually have about 3 shakes a day with Newzest in it, and that just keeps me at a really good level energy wise, and then I can add my meals in on top of that. I will admit I just had a burger for lunch, so it's not all like glamorous and he does this and that. I'm quite fortunate that I can go and eat what I want within reason, but I don't balk at burgers. I don't balk at like a pizza every now and then. It's got to be a lifestyle. It's got to be sustainable. And I think if you take an approach of always being strict with your calories and with your diet, that's not personally how I want to do it. Some people love that, but I tend to have a bit of fun with it. And yeah, that's how I like to do it. Supplement wise, I'll take magnesium every night before I go to bed. And that's usually, I've got a really good magnesium product, Nature's Way, which is a Carver magnesium product. That also gives me a bit of sleep reprieve too. So I'll take a couple of those and it allows me to fall asleep a fair bit. But yeah, they've got my Newzest. And then I don't really supplement on anything else. And then on the flip side of that, I meditate twice a day. So I'm a Vedic meditator. I'm meditating for the last 3 years. So that keeps this thing in check. It keeps all the stress at a nice level, because yeah, I'm always up. I'm always on. Every time I go out in the meetings and stuff, I'm the same level the whole time, and I'm always up. It's good to sit with myself every now and then for 20 minutes, which is twice a day generally, where I can get myself back on track.
Awesome. So pretty much you can eat well, but you work out hard.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone's different. I've actually just been introduced to a naturopath, and I've been getting some blood work done there. So looking at red and white blood cell counts, and do my zinc levels need to be up, what's happening with my cortisol levels in terms of my energy output. Am I sleeping enough? Am I getting enough fluid? When do I need to have fluid after I train? So it's all a big balancing act, but I think once it gets into a really nice, I guess, structure throughout your day, I just build that into my day, and it tends to work out quite well.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a bit more about your meditation practice. So you say you meditate twice a day in about 20-minute blocks.
Yep.
What's the meditation? What kind of, you said, is it Ayurvedic meditation?
Vedic, it used to be, there's Transcendental Meditation, which is TM, and then Vedic is very similar, but it's just practiced in a different way. Still same output. So I basically go in for 20 minutes. I've got a mantra. I can do it on the side of the road where I am, or I can do it sitting in a beautiful spot looking at the sun coming up and things like that. But for me, it's a big stress relief. I went through an experience about 3 years ago where I broke out in a bunch of hives and like almost a histamine sort of allergic reaction, which lasted for about a month, and it was brought on from stress. I really wanted to find out what that was and how I got there. So I ended up getting allergy tested for both food and environmental, and nothing came back clear. So in my head, I was like, what is going on? A friend of mine, actually, Trent, introduced me to meditation through Matt at Bondi Meditation. And then it was just stress. It was managing my stress levels. And that got me into that. And I've been doing it ever since. And touch wood, I haven't had any occurrences since. And I'm a much better person for it. So
That's great. It's true. A lot of sometimes the symptoms that we break out from, a lot of it is stress and mental induced rather than, something.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And so we're talking about rest and recovery. So you use meditation to rest the mind and reboot. And for the body, you've mentioned massage and kneading. Are you a fan of heat or cold therapy?
Yeah, so I've done a fair bit of cold therapy through the ice bath, like breathing mechanics. So like sauna into ice bath. I'm actually, funnily enough, due to go on I've been invited to go down and do some cold therapy work down south, but I'm not going to do that just yet. But yeah, cold therapy is great. I used to do it a lot when I was playing football. So we used to jump in an ice bath. And it's basically just to give you a chance to rest and level out everything. There's a theory that doesn't do much for you. I actually think it does a lot more mentally for you than it does physically. It just allows you to sit and just relax, which is hard after you've done such rigorous activity. So yeah, the jury's still out a bit on it. I do it a fair bit, but it's a fun thing to do.
Do you have a morning or evening routine, and what does it look like?
Yes. So the morning routine, I basically get up. I always go and try and put my head under the faucet, have about 500 litres of water. If I can, I'll meditate straight away. But the last couple of months, I haven't done that, and I don't mind. That's not too bad. I've now started to meditate after I work out in the morning, just because my endorphins are up and I can slip into the meditation a little bit easier. So that's the morning routine. Yeah, it's pretty standard. I generally try to get a lot of stuff out, which I don't like doing during the day at the start of the day. Because one, my mind's clear and it's not cluttered with all this stuff. As soon as I hook into this device, the video game starts. But I generally get a lot of stuff done early morning before about 9-10 o'clock. I get a lot of meetings, podcasts, interviews and things like that done towards the back end of the day. Then the evening, I usually try and, on some days, I'll train in the evening. And then as soon as I get to about 7-8 o'clock, I try and put the phone down and not touch it unless I really need to. It'll be a bit different this week because I've got to do some social media stuff a little bit later. But yeah, generally once that happens, and then I'll try and meditate before I go to bed. And that usually either happens after I've trained or just before I go to bed. And that's basically it. That's a bit of a routine I try and stick to and stay to. So it's good.
Wow. So it sounds like a workout in the morning, meditation, and a workout in the evening and meditation as well.
Yeah. That's just the way it's got to be.
Well, I think that requires a lot of discipline. Kudos to you.
Yeah, thanks.
A hypothetical question. If you could take only one exercise equipment with you on a deserted island, what would it be and why?
I would take, not have to be big either, it's just a set of dumbbells. A set of 15 kilo dumbbells. For me at the moment, 15 kilos gets really heavy after you've used it a couple of times. But dumbbells are so versatile. I've got enough in my arsenal that I know what body weight exercises can really flog me. But a 15 kilo set of dumbbells, I can keep in pretty good shape with that.
I wanted to sneak in as well. So if we were to go with the dumbbells, is there a one compound exercise that you would recommend to people?
Yeah, do a thruster. Do a dumbbell thruster.
Well, what's that?
So it's a squat to press.
Okay.
You basically have the dumbbells in front, squat down, all the way down, bottom of a squat, stand up, press your arms up.
Wow.
Do that for 3 minutes non-stop, then tell me how you're feeling.
Oh, not fun. I can imagine that. Doing that with 15 kilos dumbbells? Oh, no.
Yeah, that's light. I usually do them with about a 25 or a 20, so that's interesting.
Ouch.
Yeah.
What do you consider to be one of your favorite failures that have set you up for later success?
Oh, good question. Yeah, so I honestly think my starting the gym, although it wasn't a failure now, I failed so many times, and in that first 2 years of running the gym with my business partners, and we all did, like we all looked at each other, and at one stage in that the first 18 months, we had a meeting and we said, hey, are we packing this up? Or is this done? Or are we going to continue? And it's actually beautiful to be able to have that chat with your business partners that are your mates, and that we're still got a friendship out of it. Because I know a lot of businesses that have gone the other way and friendships don't last, but I think we respect and honor each other enough that we can have those chats. But yeah, there was definitely times in there that I just went, man, like we're doing this the wrong way, not putting the right pricing schedule in, not having the right operating system, using all the cash we may have got to go and buy equipment straight away, stuff like that. You just go, oh, should we have done that? Do you need to listen to every set of feedback and go with it and take it, and you take it to heart? Or is it, and there was a few key learnings out of that, yeah, it was good. It's the reason I'm here today.
And taking through those lessons, how do you think, all the lessons from the gym, how do you think that's shifted your current life now, or your future plans?
It's developed patience for me. It's allowed me to, you don't know unless you, and you've got to go through those, like I had to go through a lot of those years of, am I really doing the right thing? Am I putting in all this stuff for the right reason? And even now, like the stuff I'm doing now, I took a risk, and I'm now doing my own online program. My business partners have still got that area of the business. I'm still involved. I've taken a little step back, aligning with like Men's Health, aligning with all these different people. I've done that because I thought I've trusted my gut, and I thought it was the right way to go. It's just allowed me to trust myself more. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Todd. Are there any new beliefs or behaviors that have had a positive impact in your life in the recent years?
No, I don't think there's any beliefs or behaviors that I wasn't already doing. I just didn't know that I was already doing it. It's actually enabling to understand those a little bit more, and probably communication is the biggest thing for me. When I was going through my 20s, I thought I knew everything. Didn't really ask for help too much. Once I got into my 30s, I stuck my hand up a lot more and found that asking for help is actually the best way to go. If there's any bit of advice that you'd want to look at, it's in beliefs and behaviors, it's ask for help and be a bit more vulnerable in the way that you run things.
I think that's the challenge with a lot of, I think, especially in men, it's growing up.
Yep.
The vulnerability space and not being able to open up, the masculine energy, not letting ask for help, or it's not manly to ask for help, and so on. Was it a sudden shift for you and you thought, you know what, I just need to ask for help, or how did it play out for you?
It wasn't until I started meditating a lot more that I realized I needed a bit of help with things going on with my life, from relationships to running businesses to my training and things like that. Yeah, I just realized that it's okay to do that. It's not, there's no, I don't know how you would say it, but you don't get anything out of not trying to say that you know everything and you don't get the result you want. Instead of going to seek it, find it, and look out for it. I've naturally done that now since I've started meditating a lot more, and, you know, turned myself into there's a lot of opportunities have come my way since it. So it's been great.
And as we're reaching the tail end of this interview, I wanted to ask, if you could only send one single line of SMS text to yourself 5 years ago, what would it be?
Trust your gut. Your gut is more powerful than you think. I think actually, metaphorically, and the actual reality of your gut tells you everything going on with your body. Exactly every single thing happening with your body. And intuitively, your gut tells you everything going on with your body.
Yeah.
So there's anything, if it doesn't feel right here, it generally won't feel right here, and it generally won't feel right here. It talks to everything. So I just, trust your gut. That's the thing I'd send to myself. I'd be like, who sent me that?
I think the topic of being intuitive and trusting your gut seems to be coming up a lot more as well. But there's also a lot of analytical people out there, very logical reasoning people. What's your process anyway? Is it something not in your stomach that you just feel like, man, this doesn't feel right? How does it come up for you when something does or doesn't feel right?
It's always a feeling. And generally, if I don't feel like it's the right thing to do, then I've learned a lot especially the last 3 or 4 years, that if it doesn't feel right, it's not gonna be the right thing for me.
Finally, Todd, how can people reach or learn more about you and the work that you do?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on Instagram at Todd Liubinskas. The last name is spelt interestingly enough, but maybe you can tag it up for everyone to see.
All right.
Yeah, add it to the group. You can find me on Facebook at the same name, Todd Liubinskas. On my Instagram, you can go into my bio and there's a bunch of different highlights you can click on. My 12-week program's on there. Some information about the 440, some stuff I do with charity work. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of information on that Instagram profile. Get on, have a look. Feel free to DM me. I'm happy to have a chat. And yeah, it's been great to have you on board and chat with you, Kev.
Mate, thank you so much for all this information. It was wide-ranging. I enjoyed it so much. I appreciate your time, and thanks for coming on, my friend.
Thanks, mate. I'll see you soon. I'm coming in for a coffee and lunch soon.
Anytime. All right. Take care, buddy.
Thanks, Kev. See you, mate.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. All the links to the show notes will be available at kevinleesocial.com, spelled Kevinly. Conversely, if you have any interviews that you'd love to recommend, please send it over to kevinleesocial@gmail.com. I'd love to connect. Thank you. Until the next episode.